Okay. Thank you all for staying to the last panel, which we promise will make it as light and exciting. Hopefully, this is to conclude the day. The panel mainly is going to talk about creating a new revenue stream. Largely a very recent revenue stream to operators. Top lines coming mainly from video services. We've seen that traditionally operators have been working to be experts at telephony, where content is user generated and there is not much cost associated with creating that content. Then moving to data, and again that's user generated. Now we're dealing with video content that is largely owned by someone else, so there is a big price tag for such content. This is coming through to end users either in what is referred to as linear video, which is effectively broadcasters' channels being carried over operators' networks, or on demand, which is stored content. Again, the rights of that content is owned by, for example, the Hollywood studios or Bollywood or the likes of NBC, or Rotana, for example. And then thirdly, there is the user-generated content, which is still infant in this region at least, but is poised to grow significantly. For example, we're seeing that 1/4 of the traffic on the internet today is coming from YouTube. And YouTube is effectively user-generated content, which largely might not carry a price tag associated with it to the people carrying it, but there are several models now emerging to monetize that content. The people making money so far out of it are the OTT players. So what we'll discuss in this panel is potentially how we can monetize this content moving forward. What are the opportunities, the enablers, what are the challenges to make this business case better, or even to go with novel introductions of new services, new video services, and check with our esteemed panelists what their ideas are. So I'll start without much ado. I'll start with the first question. And again, I'll pose it to all panelists. Basically, over the last few years, we've noticed that the infrastructure for video services in terms of carrying platforms, technology readiness, even the content itself, are all now ready for the region. What remained is the model, the sustainable model emerging, so that in the medium to long term, you are profitable on video services. So can we shed some light on your views from the operator perspective, and also from being a media expert, on how this can be fulfilled? What strategies, where we are today, for example, Emmanuel, where we are today at Etisalat, and how we can progress further to make this model a little bit more ROI positive.
Okay, so as I'm part of Etisalat Group, I will not talk only about Etisalat UAE, but also I will talk on behalf of Mobily, or Etisalat in Nigeria, sure, or PTCL in Pakistan, where we, in all those territories, we have some initiatives, some services, IPTV or over-the-top services that have already been launched this year. As any operator of the world, we have a big share of our bandwidth that is, let's say, cannibalized by YouTube, Dailymotion, if we are talking about free services. But what we see is that a number of people are also accessing to pay services based in other countries. I will take the example of Netflix. As you know, Netflix, as you may know, Netflix is the largest content over-the-top video service worldwide. They have 40 million subscribers. But basically, they only have content rights for North America, Latin America, and a few European countries. But a number of people have access to Netflix via their VPN. The estimation is I didn't get the information directly from Netflix, but from Warner Brothers, and that there are 300,000 Netflix subscribers in sub-Saharan Africa, where Netflix has no content rights. So nobody except Netflix is taking advantage of this kind of position. So what I would say is that what we are planning to do at Etisalat and what we are already starting now is to build a large content lineup for our footprint, because that's the only way to monetize our network and to increase our customers' satisfaction, loyalty, reduce the churn, and definitely, as we cannot fight against those Netflix or on YouTube, we have to find another positioning for our content lineup. And I would say that we have two big advantages for that. Is that once we manage our network, we know our customers. And last thing, we know the local and regional market. Because coming to the content, yes, everybody wants to have his Harry Potter. But our subscribers in Nigeria does not want exactly the same kind of content than in Pakistan. So we will we'll do our best to benefit from this position to bring to our customers in the years to come the largest content library as possible.
Okay. Kurt, your views on this, please?
I just wanted to ask, so you're saying you're going to acquire more of the, let's say, Hollywood content, like Netflix does, or are you going to go more
It's not only a matter of Hollywood. For example, in Nigeria, there is Nollywood. Nigeria is one of the biggest content industry. And so definitely, for our subsidiaries in Africa, we have to capitalize on relationships with the Nigerian studios.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so I was going to say, what are your views particularly on how we can make the business case for video services in general? Today it's not ROI positive, and probably at any operator, this is going to take, at least 3 to 4 years because of, the economies of scale building these up, because of the balloon costs up front. How can this be improved?
Well, I think, here in the region, it's interesting. Everyone sees themselves as big players. But if you take yourself out into the global scale, it tends to be smaller, whether it's Du or Etisalat or any operator around, even as you go outside the region. But people tend to buy rights for a specific region. So if you're buying for the Gulf, you're not going to be buying for Nigeria at the same time with the studios. It makes it very difficult for you to acquire content specifically for one small area and then for a larger area as well. The market is it's very difficult for, I think, any operator in this region to be competitive with some of the larger ones outside the region on their own. And I think, I've had this discussion for 5-7 years knowing you. Indeed. My thought has always been, unless people aggregate together and become a big operator and become an operator who acquires content as a consortium, it is very difficult to compete against the larger ones in Europe. And you are competing with European content, you're competing with American content, or even the Eastern content as well. And I think that becomes very difficult for any operator to compete with, we'll say, gray market content that's coming in on the OTT. Secondly, and I remember back to my Showtime days in the States, when it was not Showtime as a platform, but Showtime as content. And this was when cable dominated everything. There was nothing else besides cable. And as Showtime, you were at the cable company's mercy. They decided what the rates were. They decided how much you were going to make. You had no leverage whatsoever in reaching that home. And then when a new operator came out, DirecTV, you want them to succeed. At the same time, you want to get as much money from them as possible. So those guys were charged exorbitant amounts from the content operators, where their margins were very thin. I think their margins were, let's say, 25 or 30% versus cable operators, the margins were in the neighborhood of around 70 to 80%. Some of that has to do with volume. So it's very difficult to enter as a new operator, trying to buy content when the content operators want you to succeed, but they also want to gain as much revenue as you as possible. And in doing so, you become non-competitive with any competitor out there, which is larger. That's kind of a feeling I have, which makes it very difficult. On the positive side, you've got, you're building networks that are infrastructure that is really strong. I think nowhere in the world are they fibering up 100% of the homes. I know Kuwait was trying to do that as well, but UAE specifically. And with that infrastructure, that gives you a lot of leverage. And if you don't have to account from an accounting perspective cost for that, it can make it much easier for you to distribute video. And that goes from Du or Etisalat or anybody in the region.
Okay. Ali, thank you, Kurt. Ali, you were mentioning to me while we're having coffee just 15 minutes ago that it's a must for operators to invest in video services. And in many instances, this is a subsidy of something which will probably have much more profitability.
Well, the way I look at it is that there are two, there's an indirect and a direct revenue stream or bottom line number stream that telcos should be looking at. One, the top line, which is the margin you make from pay TV rights, right, or encrypted rights or premium rights. But then there's the overall indirect margin that is generated through anti-churn, through stickiness. In addition to that, we're looking at content delivery, etc. But of course, not long time ago, just a few years ago, you could only consume good quality video product either on the TV or in the theater, in the cinema. Today, you consume good quality product on a multitude of screens. Yep. Mobiles, iPads, you name it, touchpads, your home, etc. And through multiple devices, whether it's a set-top box, OTT set-top box, or IPTV set-top box, or your iPhone AirPlay on the big screen, or iPad. That has changed a lot. So when you create video consumption applications as a telco that play out on a number of devices versus the competitor telco, then you've created stickiness on your platform. So the revenue and the profitability is not just from the video itself. I bought this video for $10 and I sold it for $11 and I made $1. But actually, another 100,000 subscribers did not churn, did not move to my competitor because I have that content. And that profitability from that element has to be monetized, and it's not really recognized by telcos. And that's one of the problems I have as a content provider, as a content seller. I try to communicate, try to monetize. Unfortunately, when you speak to telcos, you're speaking to different departments, and the mobile department is in another building, and the TV department is in another, and they don't really necessarily go and communicate with. So there are a lot of opportunities that are wasted. But having said that, I want to go back to a point you mentioned. You said telcos are ready. I actually disagree. I don't think telcos are ready. Telcos are in this part of the world. Maybe Etisalat is more ready than others, but in general, telcos are falling behind. I talk to all the telcos here. None of them have any platforms that are worthwhile talking about. I mean, Etisalat has a great IPTV platform. Du has a fantastic IPTV platform, but they haven't yet embraced OTT. Mobily in Saudi just launched an OTT platform. How many subscribers do they have? Let's not talk about that, right? Let's keep that secret. But basically, no one is ready. They're not ready. The people operating the services are not recognizing the opportunity that they're missing out on. I think there's a lot that still needs to be done to create the level of readiness. Right. Because readiness means awareness of the opportunity. And I don't think they're aware of the opportunity. When they become aware of the opportunity, of monetizing the opportunity at every level, then that's readiness, because then we're going to see OTT proliferate and really expand onto devices. You're going to see telcos playing the role of what TV broadcasters played 15 years ago, right, or which is compete against content, driving content prices up. Because telcos are going to be the next TV broadcasters, not necessarily just satellite. They're going to buy content, they're going to fight for content, they're going to want exclusive content, which means telcos are going to, once they recognize the impact of video content on their platform, they're going to go for unique stuff that's only available on Etisalat or only available on Do or Mobile or whatever, so that they attract audiences. One good example is niche populations now. You know, if you can get content from we live in a country, specifically the UAE, fantastic. How many nationalities there are here? You know,
126.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you know what? Create a unique application with German content. And that's and only Etisalat offers it. Guess what? All the German-speaking population are going to get the Etisalat service. You know, as simple as that.
Yes.
Personalizing experience will drive what SIM card, you know, if it's an Etisalat SIM card or a Do SIM card, or if it's a Mobile SIM card or an STC or a Zain SIM card. You know, creating that added value service that's going to become a sticky application or a sticky service is what's going to generate the increased revenue in the bottom line as a result of video services.
Okay, thank you. Well, you raised a very important point, which is, you know, we're probably in an era where media and operator services, you know, traditional telcos, are intersecting now with video services. And we've seen, you know, if you look at the current scene, you find that operators with potentially very limited experience in content acquisition or, you know, paid content, basically bringing this and monetizing it, have a very sort of infant experience there. Broadcasters on the other side, or media companies, which have been largely generating and promoting this content via broadcast networks, via, you know, satellite networks, or piggybacking even on the operator's infrastructure, do not know the distribution or the how to handle the end user accessibility, you know, how to access them. And then you see models emerging. For example, you see NBC launching Shahid.net. But then, you know, when it comes to the access of that and the infiltration, that becomes a challenge. On behalf of the operators as well, you handle the accessibility. You have challenges with, you know, acquisition or the production of the content itself. Are we going to see a fight between the OTT operators, you know, broadcasters being part of that, or are we going to see a collaborative model emerging between the likes, for example, locally of NBC and the operators such as Do Etisalat, the likes of OSN and potentially Do an Etisalat? How can we sort of foretell what the next few years? The question is for you, Emmanuel, then we'll pass to Kurt and to... It's a difficult one, I know, but it's the fun of the last session.
Well, let's say, I will answer your question, but I would like just to follow up with what you were saying.
Okay, sure.
But you will see we will arrive at the same point. I think, first of all, is definitely the operators have to become content operator. I agree with you. They cannot fight 100% with the content industry or with the pure OTT players. But they can at least build their own content lineup, sign exclusive agreements, and on top of that, they can also partner with companies such as Netflix or ICFlix if we are talking about local-based company. I would say that it's much more a mix of providers. Maybe operators have to build their own, let's say, mall with different corners, a corner for YouTube, a corner for ICFlix, and having their own content lineup. And I think that that's the best way operators can manage their own cannibalization and organize the competition.
Okay, good.
You know, having worked with NSN before, and part of that was trying to introduce video services to operators around the region. And as Ali says, you know, you've got to start somewhere. And a lot of these telcos don't have the knowledge. It's very different, you know, with Etisalat and Do, but a lot of them don't have that knowledge yet, and they're very nervous about starting. They don't have anybody who deals with content. And they also look at it, it's a cost. I think telcos historically have been very used to high margins, lots of profit, especially in this region. And video services tend to be low margin. It's a niche. It requires some expertise in terms of marketing, content acquisition, and it's a very difficult operation to start up, but you've got to start. So Etisalat starts. Du has started. And they can't be really that profitable, but you know what? It's a way to start. It's a way to make your first moves and become a powerhouse at a later point in time. It might be buying local sports rights that no one else can have, and you have that exclusively. That could be it. That's what cable systems do in the States. They go buy a stadium, and then they have the exclusive rights for 5 years for $8x billions of dollars. But it requires a big investment, and telcos can do that.
Or we've seen the case of Al Jazeera, for example, recently buying EPL rights.
Exactly.
And then, that is exclusive rights regionally, could be matched with potentially access, which is of large scale on the operators, on the regional operators' networks. There could be something probably reached down there, which is to the benefit of both.
But I think one of the things that I still remember back from Nokia Siemens days, or Nokia Solutions Networks days, was the trust that consumers had in the telco that they didn't have elsewhere. So you have a billing system, you've got trust from consumers, you can own those consumers if you have that product. That's the thinking. As you said, okay, maybe I partner up with a Netflix. So you're primed to actually take advantage of this relationship with customers that you've built for years and years by delivering good product to them. Maybe some people would say expensive, but people trust the telcos here. And that's the emotional side of the business is very strong. So I think that's something that operators will take advantage of. They've got to invest, take advantage of this emotional side from the consumers, and just go out there and start buying content and use it, as you've done. How many channels do you have at Etisalat?
Something like 500.
You can't compete with that. I mean, satellite, I'm in the satellite business, and it's an efficient way to reach a region. But at the same time, from a local perspective, IPTV or however you want to do it, is a great way to reach the consumers with localized content, localized ads, all those things. And that's you can't beat that. It's very strong.
And we still have a capacity of 300 TV channels.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you start generating some of these. It'll be good.
300 more.
Make your own bundle.
Etisalat has one of the largest head-end worldwide.
Absolutely. Okay, Ali, I want to touch on something important. Is in getting better monetization to video services. We've heard about things like newer, if you want, end user products such as electronic sell-through, or the capability to retail electronic content, whereas in the past this has been done via a DVD store, for example. Or we're hearing also about personal home theaters, which is a very exciting concept as well, where content can come to you in a certain window, overlapping with the theatrical or halfway through at the comfort of your own homes. And this can come definitely via the operators' networks. Another thing which will help monetization, which I believe, and we'll touch upon in the next question, but it's the compression technologies. We're seeing now the emergence of high efficiency video coding, or H.265 as a evolution from H.264, which effectively could potentially give you the same quality for half the bit rate. How would this?
I think this is HEVC or H.265, depending which company or which, but it's more or less the same thing. This is probably the most important turning point when it comes to video. Right. I think it's going to change the scene. I think H.265 will have a far greater impact, or HEVC will have a far greater impact on the video delivery industry than the move from MPEG-2 to MPEG-4 or analog to MPEG-2. Reason is, previously, MPEG-2 and MPEG-4 and all of that was associated with satellite delivery. Right. There was no video being delivered on the internet. Yeah, there was some web TV, small but good quality TV was not really being delivered on the internet previously. Only recently have we experienced that. H.265 is going to make HD quality content deliverable through the internet, through OTT, it's going to even create 4K content delivery possibilities. But the impact of H.264 is not just the fact that it's a better compression ratio, but suddenly the costs of delivering a video feed without improving its quality is going to drop. Suddenly, overnight, you'll be able to deliver to millions of devices versus 500,000 devices because of the capacity availability. Another thing, the reason why I say it'll actually come into the market at a much faster rate, because previously, for satellite receivers to consider this technology, there is about a 3 to 4 year timeline to swap out all receivers, so receivers to be manufactured in Taiwan, and then but today, Apple just uploads the new codec, and I download it, and my latest iPad now can decode HEVC or H.265 or in 2 years' time, MPEG 8 or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But the speed to market is much faster than it was with with the last change, which was MPEG 2 to MPEG 4. So the MPEG 2 to MPEG 4 allowed satellite delivery of a high definition, really, because satellite transponders are about 35 megs or whatever, and to have if you wanted to have 2 HD channels in MPEG 2, that's one transponder, right? In MPEG 2. But in MPEG 4, you can put several of these channels. And now in H.265, you can put, about 8 or 9 high-definition channels on one transponder. But guess what? Through the internet, you're going to be able to deliver high-definition content, good, real quality high-definition content for about 1 meg or 1.5 meg. But forget that. SD, widescreen SD is not bad. It's still very good quality. To watch on my iPad, SD is just as good as HD almost. So, and I'd be able to receive that for 200K. So the video consumption is going to increase massively. The cost of delivery and reception is going to drop. And I think video is going to play a major role with telcos because of HEVC.
So effectively, we're going to see a nonlinear reduction of cost on behalf of the platform
infrastructure
owners
cost,
or
absolutely,
infrastructure.
and broadband cost.
Right, and then there will be a rise probably
and consumer cost as well.
Right.
Everybody is going to be cheaper to consume video, cheaper to deliver video, and it's going to be fantastic.
And potentially you can charge a customer more because you're delivering HD equivalent services.
I think you'll have an improvement on margin. It used to cost $1, you sell it for $1.20, now it costs $50, you can still sell it for $90. So your margin might actually improve. Costs will go down, but margins will improve. But more importantly, I think demand will increase, will go up a lot as a result of that.
Okay.
Companies like Netflix or ICFlix or we're going to see more private businesses deliver premium content, in my opinion, in the next few years here. I'm already talking to about 3 different companies launching a service like Netflix, private, nothing to do with government, nothing to do with telcos. Sadly, they're using CDNs in Slovakia because it's much cheaper than CDNs here. Right. And they deliver service just as good. So that's the sad part. But the good part is that private businesses, private investors, are putting together money and they're investing in this. And it's cheaper to get into this industry today, and it will be even cheaper tomorrow than it was a few years ago. And that's what's happened.
Thank you. Another route to monetization or to increase monetization, Emmanuel, is multi-screens, basically. Unleashing the power of multi-screens, particularly in a world where we're not restricted to connectivity via fixed infrastructure to a TV screen, which requires probably a large video rate potentially to convey a good quality picture. But we're seeing the infiltration of hundreds of thousands of devices. In Etisalat's case, we're talking probably about millions of devices in a country like UAE. Intelligent devices, tablets, later on, TV, connected TVs, and so on. What are you? I know that you have plans on all aspects of the business case to use multi-screens as a enhancer of the video business. Can you shed some light on that?
I'm sorry, because a number of plans are quite confidential. I cannot disclose strategic plans. But as a takeaway, I would like to say that Multi-screen is especially a priority because it will help Etisalat, as any other operator, to monetize their data, not to monetize, but to sell more data plans.
Right.
Bundling data and content can be a real powerful differentiator. And because you can fight against those Netflix guys, but they cannot fight against you coming to the data consumption. You can, as an operator, you are the only one able to create the appropriate data plan for the appropriate content consumption of your subscribers.
But we're seeing also, I mean, the strength of multi-screens to operators such as Etisalat is that you're now doing manifold reachability to an individual or to a set of individuals where the cost of servicing them, whether it's a single bill at the end of the day, going to someone owning multi-devices, you don't have to repeat the investment in the infrastructure is probably marginal. So there could be manifold revenue returns, in a strategy like this, and effectively, something that you can consider in your business cases as a major enhancer to your top line and bottom line. I know you cannot talk too much about that, but for the general audience, basically, multi-screen is a significant. Sorry. You have a question on multi-screen. I know you like the topic.
Obviously, you've gotten a good topic that someone can't speak about, so it's hot on the telco's list.
Well, it's. Let me expose. You see, I don't have any NDAs anyway.
Ali, be good.
No. But look, multi-screen is critical, right? And it's what's happening today. What I call it the second screen. It's not really multi-screen. It's just two screens per person. You can't watch more than two screens today. One day, I mean, we'll evolve. Probably my kids' generation can do 3 screens. But today, it's really second screen. And what's happening is integration of multi-screen is 2 things. It's not just watching a video here and a video here, or the same video that's available on your set-top box to watch it on your iPad and you walk away. But a lot of technology is moving in an amazing direction. There's a combination of not just the video, but infrasound and data. So today, you'll be watching a football match, and on your iPad, you're tuned to that channel, not necessarily that channel or an application or something that is actually sending you all the information of the football match that's going on. And you can actually replay the penalty from different angles on your iPad, but still watching live screen. And not only that, you can buy the T-shirt as well. A signed T-shirt by, I'm not a football guy, what's his name? Messi. Yeah. And etc. It's the second screen. Plus, if you decide to go to the bathroom, you can watch continue to watch the football match on your iPad, so you watch it live. The use of the multi-screen and this is real today. This exists today. This is not something we're not talking about. Today second screen features and second screen opportunities are they're everywhere. In fact, we have a service that's called infrasound. And not only that, a channel can actually broadcast an infrasound at a high frequency that we can't hear, but our dogs can. Dogs and iPads can. So, and that sound triggers the application to do something else. So if you're actually tuned to the channel and watch this, you can get things, get benefits, get advertiser coupons, generate revenue. So the potential of multi-screens, and I don't know if you're doing any of that, but if I do, I've just exposed them.
It's too early.
Yeah. I'll also make use that I didn't sign any NDAs. I'll tell you something that I've been reading.
But these things exist today. Sorry. It's not something that we're waiting for them to be innovated.
Indeed.
And what we need is brave telcos to adopt these, or brave investors to adopt these solutions. But they exist.
Okay, I'll go outside my remit as a moderator and go into more as a vendor, actually. On multi-screens, we notice on the second screen, like a companion device, if you have a tablet, we compared, basically, this is an internal analysis we did, IPTV users versus IPTV users with a companion device. And we've seen that consumption has gone 40% more simply with the availability of a companion device, even with limited features, such as you can browse the content but not stream it to the second device. But nevertheless, awareness was raised significantly to the tune that you had 40% more streaming done with a secondary device. So for the same user base, basically.
Absolutely, the opportunity is there.
And this is regional data. This is not.
This is real. So that's a 40% missed opportunity. That's the way I look at it.
Indeed.
It's not a 10%. It's a 40% missed. Yeah, absolutely. So it is a multi-screen is critical to the next steps. Yeah.
Look, I've preached, I think, convergence for 10 years or so, and I think it is coming more and more. And I think authentication is a key thing because it relates to revenue.
One more.
Are we short? Do you want me to be quick?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I just ask one more question.
I can be quick. But I did want to go into just to touch on the HEVC is great. However, combine that with EMBMS, and essentially you take your long tail on a wireless side, and you can split it up between your broadcast and your unicast. And I think that is really going to change the way people consume a lot of data, because people are consuming more and more wirelessly. And no matter how much we sell LTE as being 90 meg and all this other stuff, we know it's going to be constrained very quickly. So it's about efficient use of spectrum. And these types of things, with MPEG-, which is adaptive bitrate, those types of things are really going to change in a combination. And that will change everything. I personally, that's what I think. I mean, Netflix is fine, but it's unicasting stuff. It's when you start getting that broadcasting that changes the way people will consume. Yes, HEVC will reduce that bandwidth. So right now, of course, I have a VPN, but I have problems with my Netflix because why? The tunnel is 2 meg, and that's not good enough for Netflix, so it's not good enough for me. So I don't use it because I want a quality of experience. And things like this will potentially give me more quality of experience, but it's also why I pay a lot of money for TV, IPTV, and not you guys, it's Stu. I can't do anything else. And it's why I pay a lot, because I want the quality experience. People will continue to want that quality experience. This is, people say, OTT is going to kill everybody. Well, it's not. The satellite operators, we're still seeing demand for capacity in the sky. Why? It's the standard. It's what people are used to. It may not be as quick to change as an iPad or an iPhone, but it's still there. It will be there for another 10, 15 years because that's how people consume to that television set in their home. And yeah, I used to sell it as, we've got this social media on your TV set. People don't want social media on their TV set. They want to sit back and watch a TV show. Maybe on their iPad or iPhone, they want some of those social services. But how many kids want to watch a TV in the family room and have their social media come up on the screen? No one does.
Right.
So we can come up with a lot of different ideas, and Ali, you've discussed quite a few, but a lot of these aren't going to go anywhere. It's a niche service. We're going to still have satellite TV. We're going to still have cable TV. OTT will be there, but it's still fringe. It will change, but it's not changing the dynamics of anything, and that's really where the content guys come into play, because where does their money come from? It comes from the satellite platforms. It comes from the IPTV guys, cable. So guess what? They're going to cater to them first before they start giving content from an OTT perspective. And that's really important because they generate a lot of revenue off of Etisalat and DO and OSN. And do you think they want to jeopardize that by putting some more content out into OTT? They're going to test it, but they want a lot of money out of that.
Okay, one last question to Emmanuel. I know this, maybe you can talk about this. How can operators collaborate to restrain people from downloading or streaming illegally?
Yeah.
You guys have some nice ideas, technically, so maybe we can share some.
I think it should be, let's say, it should come from a kind of consortium, consortium including regulator, including operators, to filter or to monitor where subscribers are getting their content from, and basically maybe capping their boundaries. I don't know, it depends on each country regulation.
Like geo-blocking, for example, could be one.
It can be geo-blocking. There are a number of creative things.
Deep
but
packet inspection.
Before all, it's a matter of, let's say, political wish.
Okay.
Do you want to control the internet or not?
Indeed.
But I think that if you don't want to go with all those regulation issues, operators should maybe join their forces in a way or another to build a decent content lineup, not a limited one, but a really decent content lineup, provide to their users good user interface, good user experience, and at an affordable price. That is, I think, the key things to make it a success. Why people are pirating? Because they don't find their content, or it's too expensive.
But I think largely it's what you're offering as a differentiator is the quality of the content and the comfort of bringing this to people, which is not going to be replaced anytime soon. I think the topic is extremely interesting. We can stay here for tomorrow morning, but I don't think the guys will allow us to do so. So with that, I thank you very much for your very impressive ideas, and we'll open the floor to any questions from the audience, please. Thank you.
Abhinav from Huawei. A question to Etisalat and to the panel in general. Moving on to the points that were being discussed on the acquisition of exclusive content, we're seeing some of the operators outside the region, the likes of BT, really going out for exclusive content. I mean, BT, as an example, in the UK has now exclusive sports content on football and cricket, so on and so forth, and very aggressively trying to acquire more exclusive content, both for advertising opportunities as well as really, the per subscription-based models. Within the region, how far away do you think our operators are to really reach that level of urgency or maturity to really, sort of warm up to this opportunity? Or are we very far away, or do you at all see that happening within the region in the foreseeable future?
For the moment, we are a bit far away. I mean, we are in year zero of this kind of reflection, of way of thinking. But I think 2014 will be definitely year one. And we already have some plans, but some operators, for example, are already investing in content to take the advantage of having exclusive content. That could be one of the ideas that we would be ready to explore. And it's not only a matter of investing in already existing content. There are various ways to have its own exclusive content and to be one of the leaders in especially when you are coming to the region footprint.
As an example, there is one telco in the region that last year was attempting to acquire one right very exclusive, which is SCC and the Saudi Football League. They wanted to take that exclusive to drive, the STC services, whether they're through the IPTV platform that they have or elsewhere. So that's one example. I don't know, that didn't happen yet for a lot of other reasons, but that was an attempt. So I think we're going to see more of these attempts. There's a lot of common content that's going to be available everywhere, but some local telcos are going to try to acquire important content exclusively for them that matters to the region that they're in.
Please.
Yeah, in terms of percentage of content, I recall like in Japan, the percentage is something like 90%. What's the percentage of local content in our area, in this Middle East and this region, for example? And what's the best content that's mostly, which is number one in terms of usage and whatever?
There's quantity and quality. Quantity-wise, the percentage of local content is quite high. Quality-wise, the percentage of local content that's actually being watched and consumed is very low. We produce a lot of low quality content in this part of the world, from here all the way to Morocco, Levant, etc. There are a lot of local shows, a lot of very, very specific shows, and it's average quality. It's not really consumed. We have a lot of talk shows, a lot of music shows, a lot of stuff that's happening on a lot of channels, but it's not of great quality. I look at the ratings, and I look at the ratings almost every week from TView. So I'm promoting TView now, am I? I shouldn't have beep. But basically, I look at the ratings, and at one point, it was really sad that the top 3 programs were Turkish-produced programs, and they were being watched by 90% of the population that's being measured. So local productions are even lower. If we had good quality local productions, they'd be in the top 3, top 4, but it's not. It was Turkish content. Now, for political reasons, you don't find Turkish content anywhere, so Arabic content has made it to the top tier of the rating system. And that's metered system, not, this is actual TV meters in the UAE, which is a fantastic opportunity. So in terms of the content that's being consumed, now that Turkish content has been pulled out, Arabic content occupies about, I'd say, 60 to 70% of the top part. But when Turkish content was around, it was really like 20%. The bulk was dubbed content, etc. So it's, having said that, local productions in the last 2 years have improved significantly. Investment in local productions has improved a lot. The whole Turkish phenomena that happened in the last 5 years has actually improved Arabic content, because they got all the studios to improve the quality of productions to compete against that level of quality. And that's what's happening. We're seeing serious investments in Arabic content. Before, people used to spend about $1 million, $2 million for a whole series of Ramadan drama. Now they're spending $10 million for a whole series of Ramadan drama, which is unheard of before. Anyway, I don't know if that answers your question, but there's a long way to go to create high quality Arabic content. But we're there. It's heading in the right direction.
One more question in the back.
Yes, my name is Jean Jmeil from eConnect. I have a question about ad insertion. Is a way to add the revenue of a cable operator or broadcaster. There are some broad channels, foreign channels are as important as local ones, but they don't have advertisement agents. And what is my question to Emmanuel, because he is a cable operator with Etisalat. Are you considering to have ad insertion, regionalizing, time shifting, event, some kind of event, special events where you can put special ads?
Excellent question. Ad insertion is two levels and suffers from one major issue we have in the Middle East, which is ad rates. Ad rates are extremely low. The Middle East enjoys advertisers in the Middle East enjoy the cheapest advertising rates in the world per capita, by far. I calculated a few years ago that the amount of money that Procter & Gamble spends on 1,000 Head and Shoulders units is about 20 times what they spend on 1,000 Head and Shoulders units. So the willingness to spend more money exists with clients, but rates are so low. As a result of rates being low, one questions if you keep splitting the advertising opportunity, how low, how much can you charge, and is it worthwhile? So that one, if you look at it that way, then you think split-run advertising may not be worthwhile. But then you realize, wait a minute, digital is different. Now I can customize, localize, I can personalize advertising. Not only that, digital advertising has now allowed us to advertise during the program, not just during advertising breaks. You have pop-up screens, pop-up messages, etc. As you're watching something pops up, allows you to pause, test drive, etc. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities that digital has opened up, and telcos can take advantage of that. So, and that's why we're seeing a lot of companies here providing solutions for these things. But again, no one has taken on these solutions. Very few companies have taken on these solutions, but they exist. So the opportunity now is not just to replace the ad break, the pan-Arab ad break with a local ad break. So I replace, my pan-Arab ad with a local Axiom commercial for Dubai or something on Etisalat. That's not just the opportunity. The opportunity is actually for Cadillac, when it's running its ads for pan-Arab, they actually have a local ad at the same time with a pop-up that says, send me a SMS and test drive the latest CTS or something like that, or this Saturday. And with likes of Etisalat and Do, they can actually send already a personalized message, a personalized ad to Mr. Emmanuel. Your Renault is ready for you Saturday at 10 a.m. to test drive at the Renault, etc.
He wants a BMW.
Oh, sorry, okay, at BMW. But the bottom line, I had to say Renault just in case, But anyway.
Emmanuel,
ad insertion creates a massive opportunity for telcos and IPTV networks, and I'm sure that will kick in very soon. I'm sure.
Okay, I think you wanted to hear also from the operator's perspective.
Yep.
What's the?
Yes, I confirm that we are already exploring interactive advertising over IPTV. It's quite long to align all the parties. I mean, the media industry, the sales agency, advertising sales agency, to align the internal teams and to select the right tools to manage not even the insertion, but to manage the data that you get from those insertion as well.